Welcome, dear listener, to A Tale from the Sands of Time, a story woven with ambition, tragedy, and unimaginable power. Picture ancient Egypt, a land of glittering wealth and ruthless schemes, where one woman's life would become a legend that echoes through the ages. Her name was Arsinoe II, a queen whose face adorned the coins of an empire, whose name inspired cities, and whose divine cult would be worshipped for centuries. To the world, she was a symbol of pure, unyielding power, a goddess walking among mortals, ruling Egypt alongside her brother husband, Ptolemy II. But behind the golden mask of her divine image, her life was a nightmare of betrayal, loss, and survival. Tonight, we step into a world where daughters were pawns, brothers were enemies, and marriage was a weapon forged in desperation. As you settle into the quiet of the night, let the story of Arsinoe II unfold, a tale of a woman who rose from trauma to reshape a civilization, leaving a legacy both brilliant and dark. Close your eyes, and let the ancient world come alive under the starlit skies of Alexandria. Imagine a world thrown into chaos, a world where the greatest empire ever known has crumbled. It's 316 BCE, just 7 years after the death of Alexander the Great, the conqueror who united the known world under his banner. His sudden death left no clear heir, only a pack of ruthless generals tearing his empire apart like wolves fighting over a carcass. This was the time of the Wars of the Successors, a brutal battle royale where ambition knew no bounds. Among these cunning warlords was Ptolemy, Arsinoe's father, a man some whispered was Alexander's secret half-brother. He was no reckless dreamer. Ptolemy was cautious, calculating, and fiercely intelligent. Instead of chasing the entire empire, he claimed the greatest prize of all, Egypt, a land of boundless wealth, protected by deserts and seas. He declared himself Pharaoh, founding the Ptolemaic dynasty that would rule for 300 years. But in this world, power was never secure. As you drift into this ancient tale, picture young Arsinoe, born into this storm of ambition, her childhood shaped by the clash of swords and the whispers of betrayal. The night is calm, but her story is anything but. Let's journey deeper into her world. Now, close your eyes and picture Alexandria, the dazzling new capital of Egypt, built by Ptolemy to rival the gods themselves. Its streets shimmer with wealth, its palaces gleam with marble, and the great Pharos lighthouse guides ships to its bustling harbor. This is the world Arsinoe II was born into around 316 BCE, not just a princess but a strategic piece in her father's deadly game of power. For Ptolemy, family was not a haven of love, it was a ledger of assets and threats. Sons were potential heirs or rivals, daughters, like Arsinoe, were bargaining chips, destined to be married off to seal alliances that could shatter at any moment. Growing up in this glittering yet paranoid court, Arsinoe learned a brutal truth: power was everything, and emotions were a luxury she could not afford. As the stars twinkle above, imagine her as a young girl, navigating a palace where loyalty was bought, and betrayal was the currency of survival. Her childhood was no fairy tale, but a masterclass in cunning, preparing her for a life where every step could be her last. Let the story carry you deeper into the night. As the night grows quieter, the story takes a darker turn, one that whispers of horrors hidden behind the palace walls. Some modern theories, though unproven, cast a chilling shadow over Arsinoe's early life. They suggest that her father, Ptolemy I, the great pharaoh, may have crossed a line so unthinkable it defies comprehension. These accounts claim that Arsinoe was not just a political pawn but a victim of incestuous abuse, her body and soul violated by the one man meant to protect her. Imagine the weight of that betrayal, a young girl trapped in a golden cage, her father's obsession with power twisting into something monstrous. Now, we must be clear, no ancient text confirms this horrific claim. The scandal-loving writers of the time, who thrived on gossip, are silent on this matter. Yet the theory persists, a dark lens to explain the shocking choices Arsinoe would later make. Whether true or not, her life was a crucible of trauma, forging a woman who would learn to survive by any means necessary. As you listen, wrapped in the stillness of the night, let this haunting possibility linger, a reminder of the cost of power in a world without mercy. The night deepens, and Arsinoe's story moves to a new chapter, one of sacrifice and ambition. Around 300 BCE, at just 15 or 16, she was sent from the splendor of Alexandria to a rough, militaristic court in Thrace. Her father, Ptolemy, had arranged her marriage to Lysimachus, one of Alexander's fiercest generals, a man old enough to be her grandfather. This was no love match, it was a cold, calculated alliance to strengthen Ptolemy's position against rival kings. Picture Arsinoe, a young girl stepping into a foreign land, her beauty and intelligence her only weapons in a court of hardened warriors. She was now a queen, but a junior one, surrounded by Lysimachus's other wives and his grown son, Agathocles, his heir. Her mission was clear: produce sons to cement the alliance and secure her place. She did so, giving birth to 3 boys, Ptolemy, Lysimachus, and Philip. But Arsinoe was no passive pawn. She was cunning, ambitious, and ready to play the deadly game of court intrigue. As the stars shine softly above, imagine her standing tall in a world that saw her as a tool, her heart hardening with every calculated step. The night whispers her story onward. As the night wraps you in its quiet embrace, the tale of Arsinoe grows more ruthless. In the court of Lysimachus, she was not content to be a silent queen. Her sons were her future, but they stood in the shadow of Agathocles, Lysimachus's heir from another wife. The court was a snake pit of intrigue, and Arsinoe proved she was a master of its venom. Ancient sources hint at a scandalous rumor, that she tried to seduce Agathocles, and when he refused, she turned her husband against him. Whether true or not, the outcome was brutal. In 282 BCE, Arsinoe convinced Lysimachus that his own son was plotting treason. The old king, swayed by her words, ordered Agathocles' execution. Imagine the shock rippling through the kingdom, a son killed by his father's command, all because of Arsinoe's cunning. She had cleared the path for her sons to inherit the throne, but at what cost? Her victory was a masterstroke, yet it sowed the seeds of chaos. As you listen, nestled in the calm of the night, feel the weight of her choices, a young woman outwitting a court of warriors, her heart growing colder with every triumph. The night grows still, but Arsinoe's world is ablaze with chaos. Her victory over Agathocles came at a terrible price. The execution of Lysimachus's heir weakened his kingdom, creating an opening for his enemies. In 281 BCE, the rival king Seleucus struck, invading Thrace. In a single, devastating battle, Lysimachus was killed, his army shattered. Arsinoe, once a powerful queen, was now a widow in a crumbling kingdom. Picture her fleeing with her 3 sons, the world she had built collapsing around her. Her husband was dead, her son's inheritance stolen, and enemies closed in from every side. She sought refuge in the fortified city of Alexandria, her heart pounding with fear and defiance. The once glorious queen was now a fugitive, clutching her children, her mind racing for a way to survive. As the stars watch over us, imagine her desperation, a mother fighting to protect her sons in a world that showed no mercy. The night carries her story forward, into a darkness filled with new dangers. As the night whispers its secrets, Arsinoe's story takes a treacherous turn. In her moment of weakness, a new figure emerged from the shadows, her half-brother, Ptolemy II, whose name meant thunderbolt. Exiled from Egypt and burning with ambition, Kuranos had murdered Seleucus and seized the Macedonian throne. Now, he stood outside Arsinoe's city gates, offering a deal that was both salvation and a trap. He proposed marriage, promising to adopt her sons and secure their future as his heirs. For Arsinoe, it was an impossible choice. She distrusted Kuranos, a man known for his violence and betrayal, but with enemies closing in, she had little choice. Picture her standing at a public wedding, hoping the ceremony would bind him to his promises. Her heart must have raced with fear and calculation, her sons clinging to her side. As you listen, wrapped in the quiet of the night, imagine the weight of her decision, marrying her own half-brother to save her children, stepping into an alliance that felt like a noose. The stars above bear witness to her courage and her dread. The night grows heavy with sorrow, as Arsinoe's story plunges into unimaginable horror. The marriage to Ptolemy Kuranos was a trap. The moment he gained control of Alexandria, he revealed his true nature. He had no intention of honoring his promises. Instead, he ordered the unthinkable, the murder of Arsinoe's two younger sons, Lysimachus and Philip. Ancient historians like Justin paint a chilling scene. The boys were slaughtered before their mother's eyes, their lives snuffed out to eliminate any threat to Kronos' power. Imagine Arsinoe's anguish, her screams echoing through the stone halls as she held her dying children, her world shattered in an instant. Her eldest son, Ptolemy, miraculously escaped, fleeing into the night. Stripped of her titles, her children, and her safety, Arsinoe was cast out, a broken queen forced to run for her life. As the stars gleam softly above, feel the weight of her loss, a mother betrayed by her brother husband, her heart scarred by grief. Yet, even in this darkness, her story is far from over. As the night wraps you in its embrace, picture Arsinoe at her lowest ebb, a queen reduced to a fugitive. After the brutal murder of her sons, she fled to the island of Samothrace, a sacred sanctuary in the Aegean Sea. Here, on this windswept isle, she hid from her enemies, her heart heavy with loss. Her husband Lysimachus was dead, her sons murdered, and her half-brother Kronos had stripped her of everything. News reached her that Kronos himself had been killed in battle, but it brought no comfort, her world was in ruins. Imagine her standing on the rocky shore, the sea roaring with her grief, her mind burning with a single thought, revenge. She was no longer the naive princess of Alexandria or the ambitious queen of Thrace. She was a survivor, forged in fire and betrayal, ready to reclaim her power. As you drift in the quiet of the night, let her story carry you forward, a tale of resilience rising from the ashes of despair. The stars above whisper of her next move. The night is calm, but Arsinoe's return to Alexandria is a storm breaking over Egypt. After years of exile, she arrived home not as a broken refugee but as a force of nature. Her father was dead, and her younger brother, Ptolemy II, now ruled as Pharaoh. He was married to another queen, Arsinoe, but she was no match for the cunning and experience of Arsinoe II. Picture her sweeping into the palace, her presence commanding, her eyes sharp with purpose. Ancient sources suggest she orchestrated a masterstroke, accusing Arsinoe of plotting to kill Ptolemy II. Was the plot real, or was it a lie spun by Arsinoe's cunning? We may never know, but the result was swift. Arsinoe was exiled, banished to a distant city, leaving the throne open. As you listen, wrapped in the stillness of the night, imagine Arsinoe's calculated triumph, a woman who had lost everything now poised to seize it all. Her story is a whirlwind of ambition, and the stars above guide us to her most audacious move yet. As the night deepens, we reach the pinnacle of Arsinoe's audacious rise. Around 273 BCE, she made a move that shocked the ancient world. She married her full brother, Ptolemy II. In the Greek world, this was unthinkable, a taboo that defied all custom. But Arsinoe and Ptolemy were not merely Greeks, they were pharaohs of Egypt, gods in human form. Picture the grand ceremony in Alexandria's palace, the air thick with incense and the weight of history. To justify their union, they invoked the divine, the Egyptian gods Isis and Osiris, siblings and spouses, and the Greek gods Zeus and Hera, the king and queen of Olympus. They took the title Philadelphoi, meaning sibling lovers, turning scandal into sanctity. One poet who dared mock them was reportedly sealed in a lead jar and cast into the sea, a warning to all who questioned their power. As you listen, nestled in the quiet of the night, imagine the audacity of their act, a marriage that rewrote the rules of power and divinity. Arsinoe was no longer a pawn, she was a goddess, and her story burns brighter under the stars. The stars shine brightly as Arsinoe's story reaches its zenith. As co-ruler with Ptolemy II, she was no mere queen, she was a force of divine authority. Picture her in the heart of Alexandria, her face immortalized on coins, her name echoing in temples and cities. She shared all of Ptolemy's titles, and some evidence suggests she may have been called king of Upper and Lower Egypt, a pharaoh in her own right. Her influence was vast, she supported the arts, shaped foreign policy, and played a key role in Egypt's victory in the First Syrian War. She was worshipped as a living goddess, her cult spreading across the empire. Imagine the awe of her subjects as they saw her image on coins, her statues in temples, her name carved into the very stones of Alexandria. From the ashes of betrayal and loss, Arsinoe had risen to become one of the most powerful women in the ancient world. As you drift in the night's embrace, feel the weight of her triumph, a survivor who turned trauma into divine strength. Her legacy is almost complete, but the stars have one final tale to tell. As the night draws to a close, we reach the end of Arsinoe's extraordinary journey. Around 270 BCE, at the peak of her power, she passed away, her death mourned across Egypt. Picture the grand funeral in Mendes, where she was laid to rest and deified as Arsinoe Philadelphus, the sibling-loving goddess. Her cult flourished, with temples erected in her honor, and an annual festival, the Arsinoe, celebrated her divine legacy. Her face remained on coins, her name on cities, her influence woven into the fabric of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Was she a ruthless villain, orchestrating betrayals to secure her power, or a survivor who mastered a brutal world to protect herself? The truth lies in the shadows of history, a complex tapestry of ambition and pain. Her marriage to Ptolemy II set a dangerous precedent, a tradition of sibling marriage that would define the Ptolemies for generations, leading to cycles of betrayal, assassination, and chaos. Arsinoe's story is a haunting reminder that power comes at a terrible price, a legacy of strength and darkness born from one woman's desperate survival. As you drift into dreams, let her tale linger under the stars. Good night.